Today, I wanted to challenge myself and turn my old Ninjago parts into fantasy figures, or at least the ones that could be. And I essentially just wanted to show people how versatile some of these parts are and how easy they are to incorporate into fantasy, and essentially just show that you can make fantasy characters even without buying a bunch of extra parts. To start it off, I wanted to take some of these skeleton parts from the original Ninjago series and turn them into some fantasy figures. Now, it's really not that hard. They honestly kind of just work, but I thought throwing in a few extra accessories and customizing some weapons, as well as throwing in some fantasy era shields, was a cool idea. Now, one character I actually do want to mention is this character using the old Lord Garmadon torso. I think this is great for my skeleton leader, and I think with the fantasy era shield and the pearl dark gray shoulder pads, it just gives a really menacing look, especially with him on the black horse. Now next, I used these stone army torsos from a couple of Fright Night characters, as I did show my Fright Night army, but I thought I'd show these guys off because I think it's a great use of Ninjago parts, and I think they can work for any faction or knight that you want to have some red armor. Next, I wanted to use this Kai torso from the Ninjago movie. So I made this Wanderer adventure type fig who rocks dual katanas on his back with a walking stick, and then just a basic sai. I also had some Dragon Knight legs that I thought went well with the red. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about the robe with the armor, but I don't know. I feel like the character looks pretty cool. Next, I had this really cool pearl dark gray torso from Coco from the Ninjago movie, as well as I had this shoulder pad that holds these katanas from that previous Kai figure. And I thought I could make a really cool armored ranger type fig with a sort of Asian inspired look. Now, while we're on the topic of Lego Ninjago movie minifigures, I just want to say that I think their parts can work pretty well as peasants if you sort of blend them in with a lot of more medieval style peasants. So although the colors are a bit brighter than I would like for peasants for the most part, I think they blend in fairly well, besides the flip-flops. Now, we of course have to talk about how some of the ninja parts, especially the old ones, can be used as medieval style figures, because these are parts that I feel like a lot of people have. So first, I used a couple of versions of Cole. I gave them both these hood pieces with just a bow and quiver to give them sort of a sneaky ranger or assassin look. This first figure here I didn't do anything too crazy with, although I do think this padding looks interesting just to give a bit of a more unique look than just some basic robes. I gave her just this basic hood piece just to sort of show they look good either way, although I do personally like the medieval hood piece more. For the other figure, I actually decided to keep Cole's face print to really just put Cole in a medieval fantasy look. Now, as you can see, the difference here is on his back, I used a rubber band to attach this sword. And I thought that was pretty cool, although it's not technically a legal technique, but at least for me personally, I'm fine with bending the rules a little bit. Next, I had a bunch of these old Kai torsos, so I decided to turn them into like a sort of clan of some sorts. Pretty basic. I just gave them all longbows with these quivers here, and I plan on getting them all masks in the future, but at least for now, I only had one rad mask, and then I gave another one a hood, but I think they look pretty cool. Now, here I had this other type of Kai torso, which I had 3 of, and I decided I would incorporate these guys with those other guys as well and be the melee part of them. So I might make them like the Fire Clan or something, I don't know. I plan on incorporating them as some small faction of my lore world, but I think they look pretty cool altogether. I also just think the original ninja torsos of any of the ninjas really work well, and I feel like they especially work well as bowmen, but they definitely can have a place in your medieval or fantasy world. I also happen to have a bunch of these Zane torsos, and I think these work extremely well as just basic robe prints. Although, if I need more peasants, I might just turn these guys into peasants. But at least for now, I gave them the medieval hood pieces with bows and quivers, as well as a brown glove on one side for pulling the bowstring. To end this video off, I do want to mention that I did make an Instagram account, and I will leave a link in the description. I'll be posting custom figures, progress on mocks, and whatnot. And I also am getting a new lighting setup pretty soon, so hopefully next video should have better lighting. So if you guys have any feedback or any questions, comments below, leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.